I really don't understand totally how this works, but I got a cell phone, and obviously it's wireless. And I can call just about any place on the planet without any wires whatsoever. Now, what do I not understand about that? What I don't understand is I seem to have a problem hooking up a headset that is wireless. I don't know, what is it about Bluetooth that I don't understand? So I've got the cell phone, call anywhere in the world wirelessly, and I've got a headset or a printer or something else that if I try to hook it up wirelessly, somehow I'm not getting it right. What am I doing? Something wrong with my computer? Do I not have Bluetooth on my computer? I don't know. So to me, that's very confusing. What does that have to do with anything? Well, it seems to me that neurotypical people are not hardwired to each other, but they have, by way of analogy, they have this wireless connection. You can't see any wires, you can't see any connections at all, but they're all wired together. But not literally. They have this understanding, this wireless connection that they just socialize together. And you're not connected. Apparently, you don't have Bluetooth. Apparently, you don't have whatever it is, figuratively speaking, that allows you to connect to these people. Is that a good analogy? I don't know. But to me, it made perfect sense. And another thing came to mind is that we have rabbits in our neighborhood. Sometimes they visit our backyard. And just for the amusement of it, I'll see how close I can get to the rabbit before he gets away, before he runs. And sometimes they get, maybe 10 feet from a rabbit, and just instinctively they know they got to get away from me. The rabbit is like a neurotypical person. Sometimes I try to see how close I can get to these people, but they just run away. Or if they're not running away, they're trying to push me away. So I find that to be the norm. It's been that way my entire life, been the norm for people to run away from me, get away from me, or to get me away from them because they sense that there's something amiss. Now, I don't know how the rabbit knows that I'm going to catch him and eat him. I'm not. I don't think I've ever eaten rabbit in my life. I really don't want to catch him for any particular reason. I'm just kind of curious how close I get to him. But the rabbit thinks I'm trying to catch him. The rabbit senses there's something wrong with this person, this creature, and neurotypical people seem to have that same. They're like rabbits. You try to get close to them, and poof, they're gone. You turn around and they just turn invisible. Or maybe you see them scampering off in the distance, whatever. So neurotypical people seem to have that wireless connection, like a rabbit's thinking, like a cell phone. They communicate well with each other, but you're not tapped into all of that. You don't have that wireless connection. So there you are. You're just a phone, but you don't have the internal whatever it is that makes them work. Number two is we have this strange inability to signal. We simply do not have what I would call a signaling mechanism. It's kind of like your internet service. I can get on my computer, which I'm doing right now. I've got internet access right now, but sometimes it goes down, I don't know if they're doing work in the neighborhood or what it is. Maybe they have an outage at the cable company, but you just lose service. So you got your computer, you got all the gadgets and gizmos, you got all the technology to communicate, but you just can't. There's no connection. Very similar to what we talked about with a cell phone. So what we're talking about is why people reject those of us with autism. And the first thing we learn is neurotypical people seem to have this wireless connection. They don't even know they have it. They just know you don't have it. They don't even know it's a wireless connection. They just know that you don't have it. So they don't communicate with you. They just reject you. I mean, why would you call somebody with a cell phone who doesn't have a connection? So they just don't. They figure there's something amiss with you, so they reject you. And you don't have the ability to signal because you're not connected to, by analogy, you're not connected to the internet. So they don't pick up a signal. You can't send a signal. So there's no basis for communication. There's no basis for socialization. So what they do is they reject you because, well, there's no basis for acceptance. There's no basis for not rejecting you. Now, number three is this. I have noticed throughout my life that being nice to people is not necessarily a signal, because I would say, okay, I'm going to be nice to these people. I'm going to send the signal that I'm not a threat, that I'm a likable guy, so they will reciprocate and we will like each other and all will be well. Apparently that's not the signal, because I find that the nicer I am to some people, there are exceptions, but the kinder and gentler and nicer I am to some people, they find that as a bad connection. And then I sit back and I observe these people. What are they doing? Well, they're not necessarily nice to each other, but they get along. I mean, they socialize. And sometimes they're very rude to each other. I was walking around. I take walks in my neighborhood now and again. And there was this young couple, had their little baby. And they weren't yelling at each other, but they weren't being sweet either. They were communicating kind of harshly. But they seem to get along fine. I don't understand that. How does that work? How do you socialize with people who are obnoxious? Apparently that's how you do it. I don't know. But when I try that, oh, I see. You got to be obnoxious. No, that doesn't work either. So I try to be nice to people. Have you ever done that? Try to be nice to people. Think, okay, they'll know that I'm a nice guy. They can treat me well because I'm not a threat. And they do just the opposite. So that takes us to number 4, which is one of the reasons that we are rejected, and this kind of reflects what we just said, is we are signaling the wrong thing. It may be that, as we said initially, we don't have a signal. You know, we're like the cell phone who doesn't have service, didn't pay a bill, so boom, you're off. Or maybe I've got one of those pay-as-you-go plans, you know. And, for example, I just put $10 on my cell phone. So I got $10 worth of service, which is supposed to buy me, I don't know, like 3 hours, nearly 3 hours of time. But once it's gone, the phone turns off. Just not there. It's gone. But this is, we got the signal, but it's the wrong signal, you know? So let's say you have a telephone and you got service, but the service is just kind of weird where you can't call anybody with it. You know how that works. So you're trying to socialize with people, and you tried the nice thing, and that didn't work. You tried the obnoxious thing, that didn't work. So now you're going to try, maybe try a different signal. You're going to be mean. That didn't work. You're going to try a combination. I'll be nice, mean, obnoxious, cyclically. I'll do it, you know, first I'll do one, then I'll do the other and see if that works. That doesn't work either. Okay, I'm going to try them all at the same time. Now this gets to be really confusing. So you try that. That didn't work. Nothing seems to work. So what happens is, as a result, is people reject us because, well, the bottom line is we either don't have a signal or we don't have the right signal. But they all have it. It's innate. They're born with it. They're hardwired to be wireless when it comes to communicating and socializing with each other, and whatever that hardwiring is in their brain that allows them to do that, instinctively, you know, we just don't have it. So they reject us. Number 5 is one of the reasons people reject us has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with these people. They're just jerks. So if you were one of those unfortunate Aspies or person with autism who was bullied as a child, you know, in school, maybe high school, most Aspies say high school was the worst. Fortunately, you know, I didn't have a serious problem in high school. I didn't have a serious problem ever as a child. I don't know why. They didn't really physically bully me. They pretty much ignored me, you know. They rejected me just by default. But that's not true of most Aspies that I talk to. Some of them have experienced severe bullying. But you got to keep in mind that, well, the person is bullying me. This is the way we misthink. The person is bullying me because I'm a flawed person. So, no, you're not the flawed person. The bully is the flawed person, not you. Some people are toxic. I remember we had this, when I was a pastor, we had this little black kid who would come to church now and again, ride the bus, you know. And one day after church, he came to me crying, and he said, Tommy, punch me. And I said, well, why did Tommy do that? And he said, because I'm black. Wonder where he got that. And I had to explain to him, look, Tommy didn't punch you because you're black. Tommy punched you because Tommy's a jerk. You know, so we tend to internalize the abuse of other people as if, well, if they're abusing us, they're punishing us, so we must have done something wrong. There must be something wrong with us. Nah, the problem is with them. So I had this neighbor lady years ago who was elderly. Okay, she's about the age that I am now. But we just happened to be talking. You know, you talk to your neighbor sometimes, across the fence, see him in the yard, whatever. And she was explaining that there was this plumber that came to her house, and he didn't do that good of a job, and he overcharged her, and he ripped her off because she is a woman. No, not true. The reason that plumber ripped her off is because he's a fraudster. She was internalizing it. She was blaming herself. Now, what this woman didn't know is I had hired that same plumber. Not too many weeks before that, he did the same thing to me. And I'm pretty sure I'm not a woman. So it's got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with this person. They see advantages in everybody, not just you. They will take advantage of any person they see as vulnerable. It's got nothing personally to do with you. So we need to understand that one of the reasons people reject us is just because some people are toxic. I like to say, they're jerks. See those two rectangles on the screen? Let's keep our conversation going. If you want, just click one of those two rectangles and we'll keep on talking. But if not, thanks for stopping by and see y'all next time.